Have you ever wondered why some people walk into a room and instantly command respect without even saying a word? It's not because of how loud they are or how much attention they demand. It's because they've mastered something most people never do: emotional control. You can be smart, talented, and hardworking, but if you can't control your emotions, none of it will matter. The moment you let your anger, pride, or insecurity take over, you lose power. The moment you react to every insult, every opinion, every bit of negativity thrown at you, you show the world exactly where your weakness lives. The truth is, people are always testing you. They'll push you, provoke you, and observe how you respond. And every time you lose your temper, every time you show frustration, every time you let someone else dictate your mood, you're giving them authority over your emotions. That's the moment you stop being respected and start being controlled. Because respect doesn't come from emotion, it comes from discipline. It's not the person who shouts the loudest who wins. It's the one who stays composed when everyone else loses control. The one who doesn't need to prove a point because their presence already speaks for them. There's a quiet kind of power that only comes from restraint, from knowing you could explode, but you choose not to, from being insulted, but refusing to stoop to the level of the one provoking you, from walking away, not because you're weak, but because your peace is worth more than your pride. People don't respect those who react. They respect those who remain unshaken. They respect those who hold their ground with calm confidence even when chaos surrounds them. And if you want to be respected, truly respected, you must first learn to control the one thing most people never master: your emotion. Because the moment you can control what's going on inside of you, nothing outside of you can control you. And that's when you become untouchable. When you let your emotions lead you, you lose control of your power. Emotional reactivity is not a sign of strength. It's a sign of weakness, of immaturity, and of instability. People often confuse expressing emotions with being real or authentic. But the truth is, there's a difference between authenticity and lack of control. Being authentic means knowing how you feel, understanding it, and choosing how to respond. Lack of control means letting your emotions speak before your wisdom has a chance to think. Every time you explode in anger, every time you lash out or break down because something didn't go your way, you teach the world how to manipulate you. You show people exactly what buttons to push to get a reaction. And make no mistake, some will do it on purpose. The world is full of people who feed off your reactions. They want to see you lose control because it gives them power over you. They don't even need to win the argument. They just need you to lose your calm. That's why emotional reactivity is a weakness. It's predictable. The one who cannot control their emotions is the easiest to control. If someone can provoke you with a few words, they own your peace. They control your energy. You think you're standing up for yourself, but in reality, you're falling into their trap. You're letting them decide how you feel, how you act, and how your day will go. And that's not power. That's surrender. Real strength doesn't come from reacting. It comes from restraint. It's easy to yell, to argue, to prove your point. But it takes real power to stay calm in the face of disrespect. It takes discipline to look someone in the eye who's trying to provoke you and not give them the satisfaction of seeing you lose control. That calm silence isn't weakness. It's control. It's dominance. It's a message that says, you can't move me. When you react emotionally, you give people access to your inner world. You let them know what bothers you, what hurts you, what scares you. And once they know that, they'll use it against you. But when you stay composed, when you keep your emotions grounded, people are left wondering what you're thinking, how you feel, and what your next move will be. That mystery makes you powerful. Think about the most respected people you know. They're not the ones shouting or constantly defending themselves. They're the ones who speak when necessary and do it with clarity and control. Their words carry weight because they don't waste them. Their presence alone commands attention because it's rooted in discipline. You can't respect someone who's always emotionally unstable, who switches moods like the wind. Respect comes from consistency, from stability, from strength under pressure. Emotional reactivity also blinds you. When you're angry, your judgment gets clouded. When you're hurt, your logic disappears. You start saying things you'll regret, making decisions you can't undo, and creating damage that could have been avoided with a moment of pause. The strongest thing you can do when your emotions are boiling is to breathe. Just breathe. That one pause can save you from days, months, or even years of regret. There's power in the pause. In that pause, you think, you evaluate, you choose your next move carefully. You stop being a slave to emotion and start being the master of response. You stop reacting like everyone else and start standing out. Because everyone reacts, but few respond. Everyone can get angry, but few can remain calm. And that difference determines who is respected and who is forgotten. People often justify emotional outbursts by saying, that's just who I am. But that's not identity. That's lack of growth. You are not your emotions, you are the one who chooses what to do with them. Emotional reactivity is what the world expects from you. It's easy. It's natural. But mastery isn't about doing what's easy. It's about doing what's difficult. It's about having every reason to explode, but choosing not to. The moment you learn to observe your emotions instead of becoming them, everything changes. You start noticing when someone is trying to provoke you, when situations are designed to throw you off balance. You begin to see that not everything deserves your energy. You realize that silence often says more than 1,000 angry words ever could. And when people see that they can't get to you, they start respecting you, even the ones who don't like you. You'll notice that the calmest person in any room is often the most powerful one. They're not rushing to defend themselves, not desperate to prove anything. They know who they are. And that's enough. You can't shake someone who's grounded in emotional stability. They're centered. They respond when needed. And they do it with precision. That's what leadership looks like. That's what true strength feels like. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, stop and ask yourself, is this worth my energy? If it's not, don't give it. Keep your composure. Let them reveal their instability while you maintain your peace. Because people remember how you carry yourself under pressure. They remember who lost control and who stayed grounded. And they'll always respect the one who didn't let emotions dictate their behavior. In the end, emotional reactivity is easy. It takes no effort to lose control. But control, that's rare. That's what makes people stop and pay attention. The person who can stay calm while the world is losing its mind is the one everyone turns to when things fall apart. That's the kind of respect you can't demand. You earn it by mastering yourself. When you can't control your emotions, you become a puppet of your feelings. But when you learn to manage them, you become the master of your life. The goal is not to feel nothing. It's to feel deeply, but act wisely. To understand your emotions, but never let them hijack your strength. That's when you stop reacting to the world and start leading it. And that's when respect finds you naturally, silently, powerfully. Composure is not just calmness. It's controlled strength. It's the ability to stay steady when everything around you is trying to make you fall apart. Most people think power comes from force, dominance, or being loud. But real power is quiet. It doesn't need to announce itself. It walks into a room and changes the atmosphere without saying a word. That's what composure does. It communicates confidence, control, and authority. People might not even understand why they respect you, but they feel it. It's the calm in your presence, the steadiness in your energy, the certainty in your silence. When you lose composure, you lose control. The moment you let anger, fear, or frustration dictate your actions, you hand over your strength. You can't lead, think clearly, or make good decisions when you're emotionally unstable. Composure is command. It's how you direct not just others, but yourself. When chaos hits, composure is what separates those who crumble from those who rise. The truth is, people are drawn to calmness. When you're composed, you create safety in uncertainty. You make others feel grounded. Think about it. When something goes wrong, everyone looks to the person who's calm, not the one panicking. Why? Because calm people think, they observe, they assess, they don't let fear drive them. Composure signals Confidence, it tells people I've got this. And that kind of confidence earns respect without a single word. But maintaining composure isn't easy. It requires emotional discipline. You have to train yourself to pause before reacting, to breathe when your instincts tell you to explode, and to remain centered even when you're provoked. The person who can stay calm in conflict, who can hold their tone and posture when everything inside them wants to fight back. That's someone who's mastered emotional control. It's not weakness to stay quiet. It's power under restraint. It's choosing peace over ego. You see, composure makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability makes you powerful. When people can't read your emotions, they can't anticipate your next move. They don't know if you're angry, indifferent, or strategizing. That uncertainty gives you leverage. You're not reacting, you're calculating. You're observing while everyone else is exposing their emotions. You're controlling the pace, the tone, and the direction of every interaction. In any situation, the most composed person holds the power. In arguments, composure is your shield. When someone raises their voice, hoping to provoke you, stay calm. When they insult you, keep your tone even. The louder they get, the more foolish they look. The calmer you stay, the more powerful you become. It's psychological. People instinctively respect those who don't lose control. They interpret composure as confidence, and confidence commands attention. Composure also protects your energy. When you're calm, you conserve your emotional resources. You don't waste them on things that don't matter. You don't let small problems grow into big ones because of overreaction. You stay focused on what's within your control. This is why composed people tend to succeed. They make decisions from clarity, not chaos. They act with purpose, not emotion. Life will always test your composure. Someone will disrespect you, lie to you, or disappoint you. Things won't always go as planned. The world will push you, trying to see if you'll break. But every test is an opportunity to show your strength. Every time you keep your composure in the middle of chaos, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than your emotions. You show that you're in control of yourself. And that's the foundation of true respect. Composure doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't act out of feeling. You might be angry, but you won't let anger speak for you. You might be hurt, but you won't let pain dictate your choices. You might be disappointed, but you won't let it turn into bitterness. You acknowledge your emotions. You process them, and then you respond with intention. That's maturity. That's leadership. Think about leaders, soldiers or negotiators under pressure. The reason they're respected isn't just their position, it's their composure. They can think clearly under stress. They can make tough calls when others panic. People follow calm leaders because composure inspires trust. No one feels safe with someone who's emotionally unstable. But when you're calm, even in storms, people believe in you. They see you as reliable, grounded, and strong. Composure also silences chaos. When you stay calm, you disarm conflict. You take the power away from those who want to trigger you. Arguments lose energy when only one person participates. Insults lose power when they don't get a reaction. The moment you refuse to engage in emotional warfare, the other person loses control. And in that silence, you win. Not by defeating them, but by mastering yourself. Every time you lose composure, you show others that they can shake you. Every time you stay calm, you remind them that they can't. That difference determines how people treat you. Those who can't provoke you will respect you. Those who can't manipulate your emotions will fear your discipline. You become someone who cannot be controlled because you've already mastered the hardest thing to control, yourself. When you learn to stay composed, life starts to change. You stop reacting to every small inconvenience. You stop letting rude people dictate your energy. You stop trying to prove yourself in every disagreement. You understand that not every battle is worth fighting. You start picking your responses wisely because your peace is worth more than your pride. You realize that silence is not a weakness, it's a weapon. Composure is quiet power. It's walking away from arguments that go nowhere. It's choosing grace when you could choose revenge. It's maintaining your dignity when others lose theirs. It's standing firm, not because you don't care, but because you care about your peace more than their validation. And that kind of calm can't be faked. It's built through pain, practice, and patience. So when the world tries to shake you, don't give it the satisfaction of seeing you break. Breathe. Stay calm. Remember who you are and what you stand for. Let others lose control. Let them show their instability. You don't have to match their chaos. You just have to remain the calm in it. Because the one who stays composed is the one who leads, commands, and earns respect. Your calm is your power. Protect it like your life depends on it. Because in a world full of noise, it's your calm that will make you unforgettable. It's your calm that will make people listen. It's your calm that will command the kind of respect no amount of shouting ever could. When you can master your emotions, you don't just control the moment, you control the entire direction of your life. That's what composure gives you. Quiet command, steady confidence, and undeniable respect. Your energy is your most valuable resource. It determines how you think, how you act, and how you show up in the world. But every time you allow your emotions to run wild, every time you let anger, frustration, or anxiety take over, you're spending that energy on things that don't deserve it. Emotional control is not just about appearing calm, it's about protecting the life force that fuels your focus, your purpose, and your peace. Without emotional control, you leak energy into situations that drain you instead of strengthen you. And eventually you wake up tired, resentful, and disconnected from yourself. When you react emotionally to everything, you're living in constant defense mode. Someone says something disrespectful, you react, a friend disappoints you. You react, traffic is slow. You react, you're burning energy every time your emotions take the lead. And most of the time, those reactions change nothing. They don't solve problems, they just drain your power. Emotional control helps you take that energy back. It gives you the ability to decide what's worth your attention and what's not. Because not every battle deserves your energy, and not every person deserves your response. Think about how much energy you've wasted trying to prove something to someone who didn't even care. Think about the hours you've spent replaying an argument in your head, feeling anger or regret long after it ended. That's emotional leakage, your mind and heart, giving energy to things that don't serve your growth. Emotional control closes that leak. It tells you this doesn't deserve your focus and helps you redirect that power toward what actually matters, your goals, your peace, your well-being. People who lack emotional control are always tired, not because life is harder for them, but because they spend their energy reacting instead of choosing. They let every word, every situation, and every minor inconvenience drain them. They carry emotional baggage everywhere they go, but when you develop emotional control, you become selective. You start protecting your energy like it's sacred, because it is. You realize that not everything needs your reaction. Some things only need your silence. Emotional control also protects you from emotional manipulation. There will always be people who test you, who try to provoke you just to get a reaction. They feed off your emotional energy because it gives them power, but when you stop reacting, when you remain centered no matter what they say, you starve their influence. They can't manipulate what they can't move. Your calm becomes your armor, your boundary, your invisible shield. When you stop reacting to everything, your mind gets clearer. You stop being pulled in 100 emotional directions, and you begin to think strategically. You can feel anger, but you don't let it take over. You can feel disappointment, but you don't let it destroy your focus. That's the essence of emotional control, not pretending you don't feel, but learning to manage what you feel so it doesn't sabotage your energy. There's a deep peace that comes from emotional mastery. It's the peace of knowing that you can handle whatever comes your way without losing yourself in the process. Life becomes simpler, lighter, and more focused because you stop reacting to every storm. You start choosing your battles wisely. You begin to understand that peace is not found by avoiding challenges, but by learning to remain calm in the middle of them. Your emotional energy determines the quality of your life. When your emotions are in control, you're living in chaos. But when you are in control of your emotions, you live with clarity. That's why emotional control isn't just self-discipline. It's self-preservation. It's you saying, I refuse to waste my power on things beneath my peace. People who drain your energy, arguments that go nowhere, situations you can't control, none of them deserve your emotional investment. Every time you walk away from something that disturbs your peace, you reclaim your power. You stop giving emotional access to people who haven't earned it. You stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You stop letting little things ruin your entire day. That's how you protect your energy, not by building walls, but by setting emotional boundaries. The more emotionally controlled you become, the more you'll notice who around you thrives on chaos. There are people who love drama because it keeps them relevant. Don't join them. Don't let them pull you into their storms. Stay calm, stay steady, and protect your focus. When you stop feeding chaos with your energy, it dies. You don't need to fight everything. Sometimes your silence is the strongest response. Emotional control also protects your mental health. When you're reactive, your mind is constantly overstimulated. You overthink, overfeel, and overanalyze. You become emotionally exhausted. But when you're emotionally centered, your nervous system relaxes. You're no longer swinging between highs and lows. You become emotionally consistent. And consistency brings peace. You start sleeping better, thinking clearer, and feeling stronger. Because your mind is no longer battling itself. One of the greatest signs of strength is when you can witness chaos and choose not to be part of it. That level of emotional discipline transforms how people see you. They notice that nothing shakes you, that you don't give in to petty reactions, that you hold your power quietly. That's when respect naturally follows. People start to treat you differently when they realize they can't control your emotions. Emotional control gives you space to think, to breathe, to decide what truly deserves you. And in that space, you find freedom. Then you're no longer ruled by impulses or emotions that change with the moment. You respond with intention, and that changes everything. Life stops feeling so heavy when you realize you don't have to engage with every problem. You don't have to react to every word. You can choose peace every single time, and that choice saves your energy for what truly matters. Your energy is your life currency. Spend it wisely. Every reaction is an investment. Make sure it's one that pays you back in growth, not regret. Every argument, every emotional trigger, every moment of conflict is an opportunity to practice self-control. The goal is not to suppress your emotions, but to manage them in a way that protects your peace. Because when you guard your emotional energy, you guard your future. At the end of the day, the person who can stay calm in chaos, who can walk away from negativity, who can feel deeply yet remain grounded, that's the person who wins. Not because they fought harder, but because they learned how to protect what truly matters: their energy, their peace, their focus. When you master emotional control, you don't lose energy. You create it. You conserve it for the things that build you, not break you. And that's how you rise strong, centered, and untouchable. Emotional intelligence is one of the most underestimated forms of power in the world. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, and it doesn't seek validation. It's quiet, subtle, and deeply effective. It's the power that comes from understanding people, how they think, how they feel, and how they react, and more importantly, understanding yourself. When you have emotional intelligence, you stop being ruled by your impulses and start moving with awareness. You stop reacting blindly and start responding with precision. It's a level of control that changes everything, from your relationships to your career to the way people respect you. People often assume power comes from authority, physical presence, or dominance. But real power begins with awareness. Emotional intelligence teaches you to see beyond the surface, to recognize what's really happening beneath the emotions. When someone yells at you, when they insult you or try to belittle you, emotional intelligence allows you to look past their words and see their insecurity, their fear, their need for validation. You stop taking things personally because you understand that most people's behavior is a reflection of their inner world, not yours. That's power, when you can see someone's attempt to hurt you and remain unfazed because you see through it. Emotional intelligence gives you the ability to read energy. You can walk into a room and instantly feel what's happening. Who's tense, who's confident, who's pretending. You become more observant, more strategic, more composed. You know when to speak and when to stay silent, when to push and when to pull back. People with emotional intelligence are not easily manipulated because they understand motives. They listen not just to words, but to tone, body language, and silence. They see what's unspoken. That awareness makes them impossible to fool and even harder to provoke. It's not that emotionally intelligent people don't feel emotions. They feel deeply, but they've learned to process those emotions before they act on them. They don't let temporary feelings lead to permanent damage. They pause. They think. They understand the consequences of every reaction. That pause, the space between emotion and action, is where power lives. Most people never find it because they're too busy reacting, but those who master it, those who can sit with a feeling without exploding, become unstoppable. When you're emotionally intelligent, you take back control of your own narrative. You don't allow external circumstances to dictate your mood. You know how to regulate yourself. You know how to turn frustration into focus, pain into purpose, and disappointment into discipline. You no longer seek external validation because you understand your worth internally. You no longer let someone else's mood control yours because you know that your peace is your responsibility. That's real power, the ability to manage what's happening inside regardless of what's happening outside. Emotional intelligence also transforms the way people perceive you. When you're calm, under pressure, when you don't let emotions dictate your behavior, people start to trust you. They see you as stable, reliable, and wise. They come to you for advice because you bring clarity, not chaos. You earn respect, not because you demand it, but because your composure commands it naturally. People feel safe around you because your emotional balance creates order in disorder. And safety breeds loyalty, influence, and admiration. Think about how rare emotional control is. In a world where people react to everything, online comments, arguments, insults, staying calm and collected makes you stand out instantly. Emotional intelligence is what makes leaders truly great. It's what allows them to motivate people without fear, to influence without control, and to handle conflict without hostility. It's what separates those who crumble under pressure from those who grow stronger through it. Another part of emotional intelligence is empathy, the ability to understand others without losing yourself. It's not about agreeing with everyone or tolerating everything. It's about awareness. You understand that everyone carries their own struggles, their own pain, their own insecurities. When you recognize that, you stop wasting energy on judgment and start operating from understanding. And when you combine understanding with discipline, you become both powerful and graceful, a rare combination. Emotional intelligence also gives you the upper hand in communication. You know that sometimes silence says more than words. You know that tone can shift the direction of a conversation. You know that timing matters more than being right. People who lack emotional intelligence want to win arguments. People with emotional intelligence want to solve problems. That's why the latter always end up ahead. They understand that emotional control isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about channeling them in ways that create results, not regret. When you master emotional intelligence, you stop needing to prove yourself. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand you. You stop chasing validation from those who don't see your worth. You become grounded in who you are. And from that groundedness, you lead with calm confidence. You realize that you don't need to match other people's energy. You set your own. You choose peace over reaction, understanding over impulse, and composure over chaos. Emotionally intelligent people also understand detachment, not indifference, but the ability to step back and view situations objectively. When emotions are high, logic disappears. But when you're detached, you can analyze things clearly. You can see what's fair, what's worth it, and what's not. You can make decisions based on wisdom, not wounds. Detachment allows you to walk away from things that don't serve your growth without guilt or anger. It gives you freedom. Emotional intelligence is the silent strength that most people overlook because it doesn't make noise. It doesn't demand attention. It earns it quietly. It's what allows you to move gracefully in chaos, to understand people without absorbing their pain, and to lead with calm power instead of force. It's the invisible armor that protects your peace and enhances your influence. When you have it, people feel it. They may not be able to describe it, but they respect it. The truth is, anyone can learn emotional intelligence, but few are willing to, because it requires humility. It requires self-awareness. It requires looking in the mirror and asking, what part of me needs to grow? It takes courage to admit that sometimes you are your own trigger. But once you begin that journey, you gain something far greater than temporary emotional satisfaction. You gain control, and control over yourself is the highest form of power you will ever hold. At the end of the day, emotional intelligence is not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally mature. It's about mastering your inner world so the outer world no longer dictates your peace. It's about responding with wisdom, not wounds, with clarity, not chaos. And when you reach that level, respect follows you naturally. You don't need to demand it, you embody it. Because the most powerful person in any room isn't the loudest one, it's the one who understands emotions, commands composure, and moves with quiet confidence. There is a defining difference between reacting and responding. It may sound subtle, but it's the difference between chaos and control, between weakness and strength, between regret and wisdom. Most people live their entire lives reacting. Something happens, they get offended, they get angry, they lash out, they post, they shout, they argue, they defend. It's automatic. It's emotional reflex, not emotional strength. But those who learn to respond, those who pause, assess, and then act from a place of composure, become powerful beyond measure. Responding is not about silence or suppression. It's about mastery. It's the art of choosing your behavior, not letting your emotions choose it for you. When you react, you give power away. You let people and circumstances dictate your state of mind. If someone insults you and you explode, you've just confirmed that they can control you. If a situation frustrates you and you lose your composure, you've just handed your energy over to the moment. That's how emotional manipulation works. The world constantly tests your reactions. It throws disrespect, delays, and disappointment your way just to see if you'll take the bait. Every time you react impulsively, you show that you can be controlled. But when you respond, when you pause, breathe, and decide how to move, you take that control back. You show that your peace isn't up for negotiation. Responding requires awareness. It requires you to be conscious of what's happening inside you before you move. Most people are not aware. They feel anger and immediately speak. They feel fear and immediately retreat. They feel disrespected and immediately retaliate. But awareness creates space. A small but powerful moment between stimulus and action. In that space lies your freedom. In that pause, you gain clarity. You can ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Is this the right time to respond? What outcome am I aiming for? That simple act of questioning transforms emotion into wisdom. It's not weakness, it's strategic restraint. Responding also requires emotional maturity. It means not letting temporary feelings dictate permanent actions. It's easy to react when you're angry, but maturity means waiting until you're calm enough to respond wisely. You might be justified in your anger, but if your delivery destroys your message, you lose credibility. The goal isn't just to win arguments, it's to win respect. And respect is earned through composure. When you respond thoughtfully, people listen. When you react emotionally, people dismiss you. The calm voice in the room always carries the most authority. Responding doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect or injustice. It means you address it intelligently. You set boundaries with clarity, not chaos. You speak firmly, not furiously. You correct, not curse. You protect your peace while defending your principles. Reaction is loud. Response is deliberate. Reaction burns bridges. Response builds standards. You can be strong without shouting. You can be powerful without being aggressive. The greatest leaders, negotiators, and thinkers understood this: control the impulse, control the outcome. The discipline to respond instead of react is built in silence. It's built in moments when you want to reply to that message immediately, but choose to think, when you want to clap back but decide to rise above, when you want to match someone's energy, but remember your peace is worth more. Every time you choose response over reaction, you strengthen your emotional muscle. You train your mind to stay calm in chaos. And soon what used to trigger you no longer moves you. That's growth. That's power. Think of how much damage reaction causes. People lose relationships, jobs, and opportunities because they couldn't control their emotions for a few seconds. They sent a text they shouldn't have. They said something they didn't mean. They acted on impulse and created permanent consequences. But when you learn to respond, you give yourself time to think, time to process, time to understand. That time is priceless. It allows you to act with intention instead of instinct. It prevents you from making emotional decisions that your future self will regret. Responding also shifts the way others treat you. When people realize they can't trigger you, they stop trying. You become unpredictable, not because you're chaotic, but because you're controlled. You're not easily rid. You're not easily provoked. People respect what they can't manipulate. They start choosing their words carefully around you. They treat you with a level of caution because they sense your awareness. You don't give them emotional access to your peace. You maintain your inner authority. This doesn't happen overnight. It's a skill, a daily practice. You'll slip, you'll react, you'll lose composure sometimes. That's okay. Growth isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Every time you choose to pause, you're strengthening your emotional discipline. Every time you breathe before responding, you're proving to yourself that you're in control. Over time, that control becomes second nature. You begin to feel the shift. You no longer chase validation through emotional displays. You no longer feel the need to prove your worth through reaction. You become grounded, intentional, and unshakable. Responding also allows you to focus your energy on solutions, not problems. Reaction lives in emotion. Response lives in logic. Reaction says, I'm offended. Response says, let me understand. Reaction escalates conflict. Response de-escalates it. Reaction drains your energy. Response preserves it. When you learn to respond, you stop getting lost in emotional battles that lead nowhere. You see the bigger picture. You ask yourself what outcome you truly want, and you act in alignment with that vision. There's something deeply powerful about a person who can remain calm in a storm. They exude quiet confidence. They command attention without demanding it. They make people listen simply by how they carry themselves. That's the energy of someone who responds, not reacts. It's not about being cold. It's about being centered. It's about mastering yourself so deeply that external chaos cannot disturb your internal balance. Every time life tests you, remember this. Reaction is easy. Anyone can react, but responding, that's rare. That's wisdom. It's what separates those who are controlled from those who are in control. The world will always test your emotions. People will provoke you, disappoint you, and misunderstand you. But your response is your responsibility. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone who misjudges you. Sometimes the most powerful response is silence, and sometimes it's clarity, but it's always a choice, never a reflex. The ultimate power lies in your ability to remain composed when everything around you demands chaos. That's when you truly understand who holds the authority, you or your emotions. Reacting makes you predictable. Responding makes you powerful. Because in a world full of noise, The one who can stay calm, observe, and move with intention is the one everyone eventually follows. Respond, don't react, because when you learn to master that difference, you no longer live at the mercy of emotion. You live in command of it. Emotions are powerful, but your control over them determines who you become. Every day, life will test your patience, your peace, and your principles. People will push your buttons, situations will frustrate you, and moments will tempt you to react. But remember this, the one who controls their emotions controls their destiny. The loudest person in the room may win attention, but the calmest one wins respect. The one who can stay composed when others lose control becomes a leader without even trying. True strength is not measured by how hard you hit back, but by how calmly you stand when chaos tries to shake you. When you choose to respond instead of react, you choose growth over ego, purpose over impulse, and power over weakness. That's how you rise above manipulation. That's how you protect your peace. That's how you earn respect without demanding it. Never let anyone drag you down to their level of emotional chaos. Don't give people the satisfaction of watching you lose your composure. The moment you let emotions dictate your actions, you hand them control. But the moment you pause, breathe, and choose your response, you take it back. You become untouchable. Not because you don't feel, but because you've mastered what you feel. Every great leader, every wise thinker, every emotionally strong person you admire learned this truth. Control your emotions, or they will control you. You are not powerless in the face of emotion. You are the authority. You get to decide how to react, how to feel, and how to move forward. So when life throws its storms, stand tall. When people misunderstand you, stay grounded. When chaos calls your name, choose silence, clarity, and composure. Because the real power doesn't come from dominating others. It comes from mastering yourself. You'll never be truly respected if you can't control your emotions. But once you do, once you learn to command your inner world, you'll walk with a calm so powerful that even chaos will bow in your presence.